supper and a mother at the best place around. Some stupid with a flare gun burned the place to the ground. Smoke on the water, fire in the sky. Smoke on the water. Burned down the gambling house. It died with an awful sound. Funky and Claude was running in and out, pulling kids out of the ground. But when it all was over, we had to find another place. Swiss time was running out. It seemed that we would lose the race. Smoke on the water, fire in the sky. Smoke on the water.
You wanna know what goes on backstage? Oh, come on. Let me take you by the hand. Ow!
Rudi, are you ready?
Ladies and gentlemen,
The way I see it, Barry, this should be a very dynamite show.
You know, I have no idea what the name of this program is, but you're watching it.
Backstage,
All you ever want,
backstage,
all you ever need.
backstage.
Your dreams will be fulfilled once you are there, you'll never wanna leave. You wanna sell your ass for that backstage pass. Backstage is just for the invited. Backstage, they've laid on everything. You wanna know what goes on backstage? Oh, come on. Let me take you by the hand. Ow!
Backstage,
All you ever want,
backstage,
all you ever need.
backstage.
Your dreams will be fulfilled once you are there, you'll never wanna leave. Backstage, it's where you get the action. Backstage, come bring you to your knees. Backstage, you go for satisfaction, you can do what the hell you please. You wanna sell your ass for that backstage pass.
Hallo bei einer neuen Folge von Ohne Maulkorb mit tolle Zahlen. Die Sendung mit der roten Couch, wo man nicht lügen darf, immer die Wahrheit sagen muss, interessanten Themen und vor allem interessanten Gästen. Ich muss schon sagen, heute ist das für mich ein bisschen eine besondere Sendung. Ich habe auch so ein besonderes Kribbeln. Sie werden sich ein bisschen daran gewöhnen müssen, weil die Sendung heute in der englischen Sprache stattfindet. Ich habe einen ganz besonderen Gast. Er kam extra aus der Tschechischen Republik hierher und er ist zum allerersten Mal im österreichischen Fernsehen. Es ist niemand geringerer als my dear friend, mein lieber Freund, der 12 Jahre lang der persönliche Assistent von Freddie Mercury war, mehr über Mercury weiß als irgendjemand anderer. Wir beide sind seit vielen Jahren sehr, sehr gut befreundet. And thank you very much, Mr. Peter Freestone, coming here and being my guest in my program Ohne Maulkorb with Dolezal. Of course, you have no idea what this means, right?
No.
Well, it's without, you know what you give to dogs that they don't bite? Muzzle?
Okay, muzzle. Muzzle.
Okay, without muzzle, meaning you can speak freely. There is one rule which I have to tell you. On the red couch, you have to say the truth. You are not allowed.
Can I move?
Huh?
Can I move?
There is only the red couch.
I'll sit on the floor.
No, you never lie. I don't remember that you have ever not told the truth. Now, Peter, first of all, again, thank you for also taking the strain. You're in the Czech Republic. You're living in the Czech Republic for quite a few years now.
I am Czech.
And you are a Czech citizen, yes. Although I think you haven't given back your British.
No,
so
I'm allowed to keep both.
Yeah. Why did you go to the Czech Republic? I mean, I know the answer. By the way, I have to ask you questions here today where you know that I know the answer, but here for the audience, especially
but then
the Austrian...
you know if I'm going to lie.
Exactly.
That's not right. No, why Czech? There's a number of reasons. But I think the main one was purely selfish, in fact, because I wanted to be somewhere that I wouldn't be constantly reminded of going with Freddie somewhere, down this street, down that place, to this restaurant, to somewhere. And of course, he was never able to get to the Czech Republic. Well, Czechoslovakia in those days, you know, because it was behind the Iron Curtain. Okay, Queen did go as far as Budapest, but the curtain was hanging looser over there. And so this was a place that would have no memories. The other reasons, I just grew very, very disillusioned with Britain. And in the end of the 90s, I just didn't like what was happening. Politics, even the attitude of the people. One thing that you walk down a street and everything tells you what you can't do. You can't turn right, you can't turn left, you can't do this, you can't do something. Not come here and have a good time, enjoy yourself, do what you want. That had all disappeared, which was what I lived through when I was young. I went to Prague, and I think like every foreigner who goes to that city for the first time, I just totally fell in love with the place. The architecture, the people, just everything, everything about it.
Prague and Vienna are very similar in architecture, and I think also in the people. You know,
yeah.
it is closer than you think. You know?
Well, the thing is, when I first thought, I'm going to Prague, but that's Eastern Europe.
Yeah.
That must be at least 2-3 hour flight. And of course, hour 40 minutes, because I'd forgotten my geography. Because in fact, Prague is further west than Vienna. And Vienna was the capital of, you know, the West in the years past.
Why? Because, no, of course, because of the classic. I mean, we have to say that you are an enthusiast and an expert in opera. Yes, you are. Even if you don't, you know you know a lot about opera, and we might come to this. You introduced Montserrat Caballé to Freddie, or Freddie to Montserrat Caballé, etc. And whenever I remember when we met again, something like 20 years ago-ish, you know, where we also worked together. You said you're going to the opera house in Prague once a week at least, because it has very good performances.
Yes,
It's like the
very.
Vienna Opera House.
Yeah, because the thing is, I mean, they use local performers with occasional guest stars coming in, but the quality of the performances are wonderful.
If there wasn't Corona, as we are recording this, we obviously would have gone to the Vienna Opera House because that would have because that would. One day we're gonna do this, okay? Promise.
We have to.
I am not allowed to lie in the red chair
Okay,
either.
that's fine.
So, okay.
I was going to ask about that.
No, the thing is, we have to tell the audience that with us it's a little bit special because ich sage das jetzt kurz auf Deutsch. Excuse me. Wir beide sind wie ein Mosaik, was den Freddie Mercury betrifft. An einem Tag, wo ich zum Beispiel ein Video gedreht habe in London, hat Peter Freestone den Freddie aufgeweckt, hat ihn wie immer um 9 Uhr früh, 9 o'clock, den Tee zum Bett gebracht, hat ihm vermutlich beraten, was er anziehen soll, hat ihm das Auto gerufen, ist mit ihm hingefahren. Dann habe ich übernehmen dürfen als Regisseur, zum Beispiel bei I'm Going Slightly Mad, über das wir reden werden, weil es ein besonderes Video ist. Und dann habe ich den ganzen Tag sozusagen den Freddie gehabt, war auch im Dressing Room, da war er auch. Und am Abend hat ihn der Peter Freestone wieder übernommen und gesagt, na, wie war's und wie hat's dir gefallen und was hat dich geärgert? So in other words, our mosaic of knowledge, I was explaining, and you know a little bit of German, that on a day like when we filmed I'm Going Slightly Mad, you started in the morning, I took over, you took him back in the evening. So when the two of us meet, there is two things. Please correct me if you see it differently. One thing is it makes me happy because we are talking about the most grateful, great person that I had ever the privilege to meet, Freddie Mercury. And the second thing is, when you say something, I remember something.
Yeah. So it keeps going backwards and forwards.
Yeah.
More and more and more. And the thing is, but sometimes when you're talking, you're digging up memories of mine that I haven't thought about for 15, 20, 30 years.
Yeah.
You know, and that's wonderful. You know, I know, okay, computers remember things a lot better than human beings, but you don't get the pleasure out of a computer that you do when you actually think about something. It's all very well, go click, 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 click. Oh, look, here we have. Oh, look, there's that photograph, that memory, that memory. It's not the same.
Remember when I was visiting you before Corona in the Czech Republic, actually to see one of your shows, when we come to that in a moment, talk shows, and then we were sitting on your couch and we were talking and talking and I said, oh, I should record this, remember? And I did, but it was so many hours until this day I haven't even listened to it. Yeah.
But you see, this is the thing with Freddie. One of the things I think I caught in the German about Freddie, he was actually, even though it might not have been planned or anything, but he brought a lot of people together. And the friendships have continued after, you know, for all the years afterwards. He was very, very good at that. Very good.
I mean, he gives us two pleasure, and on a day like this, now, do you call me crazy if I say I can feel it? I can feel him?
Not at all, because
because he, for me, and I'm really not a person who believes in talking to the dead or anything crazy.
No, I understand.
But I have even his language, that I have in my ears. Don't try to be second best, darling. Yes. Meaning always go for it. Yeah. Just don't give a fuck. You know, do something that nobody has ever done, like he did Bohemian Rhapsody. Yes, and everybody said, oh, it's 7 minutes. I said, oh, go fuck yourself. It's going to be, and it was a world hit. You know, and he made the example. But in many things, or when Freddie, one of his words that I remember was always, oh, this is too clever, Rudi. You know, when you think 3 times around the corner, he would say, okay, yes, I know what you mean, but it's just too clever. Yeah. What is your great memories in terms of these kind of things?
I don't know. It's hard. It's hard just to come up.
But do you remember the day when we did Slightly Mad? What was the morning? Explain what the morning with Freddie Mercury was in the house. This is Garden Lodge,
Yeah.
where he hit the final in Kensington, the house that he built for many years after Munich. Explain to the audience, please, a day in Freddie Mercury's life.
Well, it didn't matter what time he went to bed the night before. 9 o'clock in the morning, there had to be a cup of tea at the side of his bed. Every morning. Whether he went to bed at 2 o'clock in the morning on an early night, or maybe 5, 6, he'd been working in the studio, and he'd have 3 hours sleep and then get up. He hated wasting daylight hours. I mean, he lived for the night, but the daylight he hated wasting. So, and he would come down for breakfast before 9:30, and it was always 2 slices of toast, jam or marmalade, and that was it.
That was the breakfast.
That was breakfast. He would then go out into the garden, if it's a nice day, just to gather his thoughts, to get together what he wanted to do that day, and play with the cats and feed the fish and, you know, the normal things that everybody does.
You have to say about the fish.
Well, Freddie, there was this garden.
Which is something special in itself in Kensington.
Yeah.
Because it's very, very small, everything in London. And there is a garden in the middle of Kensington, which is phenomenal. Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't massive or anything, but he wanted... Freddie Mercury was the perfect classical gentleman. If he had lived in the Victorian or Edwardian era, he would have fitted perfectly. And so he had his ornamental fish pond that he had built into the garden.
With what kind of fish?
With koi carp. But I mean, they were varying from this size to sort of things like this. But what he would do, you have to feed them these pellets, you know, like you feed the cat. He would put a handful and he would put it down to water level and they would come and eat out of his hand.
Oh, nice.
So this is the sort of thing that brought his mind together to working.
And he loved cats.
Yeah.
Delilah.
There was, I mean, for him, his cats were his children. I mean, he didn't need anything more. He didn't need more than those. I mean, at the end of his life, there were 6 cats in the house. It sounds a lot, but Garden Lodge was not small. It's not your normal house. Unlike the film that said the cats had 1 room each.
You mean the Bohemian Rhapsody,
the Bohemian Rhapsody
movie, not my film.
Yeah. The Bohemian Rhapsody, yes.
Yeah.
They did not have 1 room each. But no, they had the free roam of the house. They could do whatever they wanted, which made it hard when we were all going out. Because obviously all the doors had to be shut. There was movement sensors for the alarm and everything. So we had to make sure all the cats were out.
Sure. So let's stay with the day. So feed the cats, feed the fish, and then?
And then he would know by then what he wanted to do. Garden Lodge days, he generally enjoyed having lunches. He would invite friends over for lunch. Most of his friends were in acting, so they would have lunchtime free and they were working in the evening. So it would, quite often, maybe once a week, there would be a lunch for 10 people. I mean, we would we're not stupid, we were not. Joe Fanelli, myself.
Joe Fanelli was in
He
the house.
was actually the professional chef. He was...
But you were cooking yourself
Yes,
as well.
but I cook. Because I started cooking for Freddie when we were in New York, in his New York apartment back in 1981 or something. But we laid the table properly, you know, how it should be. But, you know, you could guarantee half an hour before the guests arrive, Freddie's in the dining room. Move the glass a little bit, straighten a knife, move that fork. And then he could say, oh, I laid the table.
But also he did cards sometimes.
Sometimes,
where,
yes.
Where somebody has to sit. I remember once I was there when Elton John and Rod Stewart were there, and he said, this is my video director. I was the little Rudi in the corner, and they were talking about forming a band, teeth, nose, and hair, because obviously Freddie was the teeth, the nose. Rod Stewart has a nose like me, or even bigger, and Elton always had hair problems, and there was obviously a lot of alcohol and everything. Yeah,
Yeah, of course.
No, Freddie liked champagne. I mean, he once sent me always sent me from a certain point on, from my birthdays, a box of
Crystal.
Röderer Kristall. I wanted to say it. This is my show, darling.
I'll go.
Yeah, please go.
Okay.
No, stay. No, but coming back to, I'm going slightly mad because I mean, we could go through this all the time, but sometimes you went to Sotheby's because he loved to buy art, and he was sending you because he didn't want to sit in there because they thought if Freddie Mercury wants to buy this picture or this painting, it must be good. Yeah. But let's now come to something where this mosaic of you and me is perfectly obvious for the viewers. For example, when Slightly Mad which was already at the end of his life.
Yes, this was. It was very early '91, I believe. Yeah. This was, in fact, except for the very last video,
well, it
which
was
you
meant
directed.
to be the last Queen video.
Yeah.
There was then another one, Days of Our Lives, which you and I, which was the very last time he was in front of a camera. I am very privileged to say in front of my camera. Yeah. He chose me to be this person, and I'm until this day very thankful. It was a privilege. But Slightly Mad was the last real one where he put a lot of thoughts into it. And please.
Well, I mean, we got him ready. He knew he was going to have, because the thing is, Queen videos used to take 3 days to create.
But that was the Slightly Mad, I think.
Slightly Mad
was it was 2.
Well, he actually was there for one.
Okay, well then it was 2 days shooting and 1 day was.
And Freddie was
when
there
we did
for
the gorilla thing and all this other stuff. Okay. Possible.
So I went with him. We went in the car. We arrived at the studio, and he went straight to the dressing room, just to relax a little bit. Then, I mean, he did go out.
Then I took over.
Yeah. I worked with Diana Mosley, who was doing the costumes.
Diana Mosley was a very close friend, and she was not only doing the costumes, she was also a friend, like you will maybe explain later who were real friends, and also explain why my book is called My Friend Freddie. But the thing is that Diana Mosley was more than that. She came up with ideas. I have at home.
And also his own clothes.
Oh yeah, she started with live concert things, I think.
No. The first thing was that, is it Living on My Own?
Oh my God, yeah, Living on...
With the mirrors.
Oh, no, that's another one. That's a David Mallet video.
But that
I was born to love you.
Yeah, that was the first.
That was the first one where she did this white thing.
Yes.
Okay, great.
And from then on...
But she ended up doing everything, including live. Including the famous... last tour outfit, which is also on the statue and everything. Diane Mosley is a very fine. I remember she says that in my documentary, The Untold Story, where also you, of course, are featured, and she told me about the last time when she met Freddie, when
made me cry
when she came over. And they were just sitting there and watching television, maybe playing Scrabble, I don't know. And then at the end, she says, and then when I was at the door, Freddie said to me, "Thank you for spending the afternoon with an old man." Yeah. And then even I cry when I see this because she starts to cry. Diane Mosley, I think, loved Freddie to the max. And Freddie had a very good hand. Another one is a very good hand of picking people that finally ended up giving him everything of their profession, but also their friendship.
Yes.
I mean, think of the producers. Mack was more than a producer.
Yes,
Freddie
of course.
became, the godfather of his sons.
son, yeah.
Think of the other. Think of David Richards
Yeah.
in Montreux.
Yeah, yeah.
So Freddie had in German we would say he had a nose. He had eine Nase. Yeah. Dafür, first of all, professionally,
Yeah.
but also that it fitted.
Yes. The thing is, it's surprising, in fact, how many people he got to know professionally. And very, very quickly, the dividing line slipped over from profession to friendship. He was very, very astute. He knew who was going to be a good friend. He knew it. And it just worked so well.
I mean, there's people, of course, when my book is coming out, who will say, "Oh, how can Rudi call his book My Friend Freddie?"
No, this is the thing. I mean, unless you were there, how can anybody say yes, no, or something else? You were talking about Diana Mosley. That started off professionally, but very quickly she became a friend. She became indispensable. You started off with one vision.
Videos.
And within a year or something, you were coming round to Garden Lodge and spending time with Freddie. He like you said in German, he had a nose for people. I don't know about you, but for me, every single person in the world, hopefully, I hope, has got someone, at least one person, that you would do absolutely anything for, because you know they would do anything for you. And there were so many people around Freddie who would have given him anything and everything. Because that's the feeling that he instilled into people. Not because he was Freddie Mercury, the superstar, Freddie, the performer. This was Freddie Mercury, the person, the man, the human being. And he would do anything for his friends. He would do anything he possibly could. That was part of his philosophy of life, that if he walked out of a room, leaving some people behind, he'd made them happy. He'd made them smile. That's what made him happy. It's what got him through the day. To make sure that people around him were happy.
Go on, darling.
But this is the Freddie. As I said, he would do anything, absolutely anything for his friends. And you didn't do things for him because you were buying friendship or anything. You did it because you wanted to. You did it because you had a chance to.
He was such an outstanding person in so many ways, Yes, he was a great performer. I would say one of the 2 or 3 greatest ever.
Yes.
Yes, Mr. Mick Jagger, I know you're still there. Great. Freddie Mercury, and then in the rock and roll, in the rock world, he had the people. Freddie said always, "I want to have them in the palm of my hand," and he had them.
Look at in Live Aid.
For example.
He had the whole world in the palm of his hand.
I remember I was there. You remember I was, and then he came off the stage, and Elton was there, and he said, "You just stole the show for all of us."
Yes.
Elton John immediately realized that was the performance of the day.
Yeah.
Full stop. Regardless, they could go on naked. Everybody.
The thing is, they didn't intend to do that.
No, but it was.
They went on stage to give their show.
Yeah.
And in fact, it's the shortest Queen show I've ever seen.
But that was the great thing about it.
Because they didn't have to keep their energy for the hour and a
No,
half, 2 hours.
Exactly.
They could just give.
Exactly. And it was so condensed.
Yes.
That you suddenly realized, oh, wow, it's 20 minutes and one hit after the other.
Yes.
Bang, 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 bang. Yeah? All you need is Radio Gaga. Wow. And the thing was that they didn't want to do it in the beginning, remember?
No.
But
Well,
talk about
yeah,
it.
because the thing is they
They were on holiday.
Yeah, and also they had not been asked to do the Band-Aid single.
Right. Was there some
Well, there was
bad
that,
feelings?
not bad feelings, but you know, if they weren't good enough to be doing that, why would they be good enough to do the TV?
Yeah, because it was much more artists involved, you know.
yeah.
I see what you mean. I never thought of that. See, Peter, we said we're gonna learn something. Even the two of us in Ohne Maulkorb mit Stollezahl.
I'd better put a muzzle on.
No. Everything is allowed, unless as long as it's with respect. You want to drink some water? Anyway, feel free. Don't pour it on me if you're mad with me. No, but the thing is, thank you very much, darling. The thing is, what you rightly said is, see, when he started to call me over and said, you know, just call me when you're in London. This was the moment when with me, it started from a professional relationship where my ex-partner was involved.
Yes.
Yeah, we have to say. There was Mr. Rossacher involved in doing most of the videos. But then I was very often there, and there was no band members. There was no Jim Beach, the manager. You are actually one of the few, which is the reason why I asked you to contribute a little forward or afterward or whatever to my book. You're one of the few people who can actually be a witness that I really can.
There because he wanted you to be there.
Yeah, and that I was really
not because you were there to discuss the next video and to do this.
And sometimes it was just watching television.
Yes.
I remember Miami Vice was at the time one of his favorite, remember? And he was always like, Rudi, look at that. Yeah, the colors and what they were wearing, which today, of course, it's dated. But at the time, sometimes we were just sitting there and watching television in the afternoon and we were playing Scrabble, one of his...
But you see, also, the thing is, I think, this is from me, one of the reasons that you both got on so well. Because in amongst that performer, composer, writer, and everything else, he also had the mind of a director.
Oh, yeah.
He could see things like you saw things, and your minds just sort of went together. Once the original idea was brought up, then the minds just glued together.
I call it ping pong. Yeah, idea, done. And he was so quick.
Yes.
If you think I am hectic or I'm fast, darlings, Freddie Mercury was like 5 times my speed, something like that, right? I mean, am I right?
No.
And I was, and the funny thing was with the ping pong, with ideas when we did concepts, mostly in, excuse me, Mr. Water, Garden Lodge, and you had some special roles. We come to this. Yeah. I won't let you away without telling the story when you were Debbie Lang. But thing is that I was making notes, so at certain moments I was like the secretary. Okay, Rudi, take this down. And then I was throwing in ideas, and then I had to write down my own ideas, and then he was already the next idea, and this went on, and that was the fun, Peter.
Yes.
I have never, ever in my life experienced anything like that, and
you brought out the best in each other.
Please, I worked with had the privilege, so many great artists, but the Freddie Mercury working process was something I never experienced before, and I never experienced afterwards.
And the thing that I found, I mean, it's sort of great, was the fact that the original idea would come from the person who wrote the song, what they
most
felt.
Of the time.
They would throw the idea in.
It was John Deacon with the train.
Yes.
On breaks.
But then,
he said the train.
Once the idea was there, then the person would back away, and it was left to Freddie.
Some person would back
Most
away.
People would back away.
There were band members or a band member who would not back away.
But the thing is,
we know who we mean.
But the thing is, Freddie would then actually create with you. He would create that idea. He would expand. He would maybe put, oh well, this is the idea, but we could do it like.
Well, there is two things I have to say. Let's stay with Breakthrough. Breakthrough ist das kurz dazwischen auf Deutsch. Breakthrough ist das Video auf dem Zug, wo Freddie Mercury und Queen auf einem Zug performen und der wirklich durch die Gegend fährt. In the beginning, there was the train, but there was the first meeting actually with the whole band was in Pembridge Road, which was the Queen office.
Yeah.
And they said it should be blue box or green box. And I said, darlings, this is impossible. You are the creators of music video with Bohemian Rhapsody, blue box or green box, which means you pretend that they are on a train. It looks so cheap. You have to be on a real train. And John Deacon said, no, I'm not going on it. Long story short, it took some time and we ended up in Garden Lodge, as most of the time, and as I'm explaining in my book quite often, writing or discussing the concept. Yeah. And we have to explain to our viewers that most of the time, yes, there was always Joe Bonelli there, and there was also Freddie's lover, Jim Hutton, most of the time, but you were also called for everything. Yeah. Like Freddie and Technics. Freddie puts on some music and it doesn't work. Phoebe! So, or anyway, anytime. So, and Freddie, please explain that I'm not because you're my guest. He wanted always to see things in front of him. And at the beginning of Breakthrough, and now you take over, please, there is a musical part where the band is not yet performing. And we were thinking of various things. One was that he suddenly said, what about a woman? Debbie Lang. And then he said, Phoebe. And what happened then?
You have to realize I was a little bit thinner in those days. The idea had come up of this, the old silent black and white films, you know, where the maiden is chained to the tracks, you know. And so he had this idea of, you know, this girl, she's lying flat there, but then she's able to rise up and, you know, get out of the way and blah. And then he says to me, all right, I want you to be this girl.
Well, you are a girl. We can see that. Okay.
Yeah. Lie down here. And then he explained what I had to do. So he said, right, you lie down. You have your arms just to your side, like that. But then you sort of you do a sit-up. Yeah. And then bring your knees up and you stand up. And there's me on the ground, on the floor in Garden Lodge. I mean, oh, yes, to the music.
That was the thing. He wanted to check out how long, because we were writing the script.
How long it would take to get up.
Exactly.
And to stand.
Exactly.
And to...
So, but you were also, some of the time, starting the music. Yeah. So you were the assistant and starting the music. Then you were Debbie Lang. You were the first Debbie Lang. Debbie Lang was, by the way, the famous, very good-looking model, which became the mother of 3 children of Roger Taylor.
She made her name with advertising chocolate.
Well, in a very special way.
Oh, yes.
In a very sexy way, erotic.
Yeah, but I mean, if you think that combination was...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So, but there was another thing, I think it was also Breakthrough, and I know that you don't like to say that, so this is why I'm now...
making
you say it. Where I think it was also Breakthrough, where he was asking you to dance like a ballet dancer.
Yeah. Because that was the idea before the...
Yes, before the thing. And you had to turn. I mean, imagine Peter Freestone. Could you do it for us?
A thinner version.
Could you do it out now?
No. I couldn't do it properly then.
Yeah.
Well, no, actually, I could. I wasn't bad,
you were actually, and he said, turn around. And then you were turning. I mean, you have to say that you were involved in the Royal Ballet.
Yes.
With costumes and everything. So you were absolutely...
I had an idea of
you had an idea of it. Yes. But, I mean, a man, again, you know, of course, you were much thinner than I am. Now turning...
I was much thinner than I am now.
Yeah, okay, we said it enough, darling. I love you. Than a turning like usually very well trained slim dancers do. I mean, this picture. Unfortunately, there was no smartphones at the time.
Fortunately,
No,
there were
unfortunately,
no smartphones.
otherwise I could now bring a document. But one thing I want to, I mean,
But this
please, go on.
is how deep he went into ideas, to see if they would work, to see if they could work.
I have to say that this was very, very great times, and no, honestly, and I'm very thankful, and I really mean that, because, you know, there's these days where everybody is me, and I'm so important. No. When people are now also in social media say, "Oh, Rudi, legend as well." Freddie Mercury was a legend. I was only the filmmaker. Yes, I did my contribution, but he was such a special person in every way, and he was also so caring. You know, I remember once, and I said this at another interview for German television recently. I was there just, you know, for something else, or for just being around, and he was borrowing somebody money, not from the house, some outside person. And it was quite a
Lending.
lending,
Borrowing.
lending, giving,
Okay.
or maybe even giving it
Just
as a
giving,
gift, And I didn't listen, but and he said, "There's one thing that you have to promise me." And then this person said, "I'm not saying who it was." "Yeah, what?" And he said, you don't tell anybody that I gave this to you," because he didn't want to seem that, oh, Freddie Mercury is giving somebody money and making himself important. So in other words, he did good for doing good and helping people, and not to be the Samariter. Oh, he is so cool. You probably witnessed that much more often than me.
That is him. You know, we said earlier on that there would never be another showman like him, and for me, I don't know that I will ever meet another man like him, another human being like him, because he really cared more for other people than he did for himself in the end. He knew he was comfortable. He didn't have to worry about money. He didn't, you know, he could do whatever he wanted in his life. He knew that. So it gave him the chance to care for other people, to take care of other people, just to make them feel wanted. You know, you must know how sometimes everybody does get the feeling that you're just sitting in a corner and nobody can see you anymore. Nobody cares. Nobody's interested. And he would never let that happen to any of his friends. He would never let them think that they weren't worth the talking to. That's why I cannot envisage, not at my age now, meeting another person like him.
See, and the fact that we still talk about him as if he would
present.
I was just gonna say, as if he would come in through this door any moment.
Well, the thing is, I've been asked so often by fans, but don't you feel Freddie's there with you? Don't you talk to him at night? Don't you? And I reply, and I said, look, I was incredibly lucky to be with him for 12 years. He spent enough time with me. He's now out and about looking for anybody who needs to talk to him. You just talk to him. He's there. He's listening. So he's now out there for everybody else. He's not chained to the human body just to be in this one particular place. Anybody who needs him, he's there. He is there. And while people, not only like us, anybody, the fans, everybody, anybody that talks about Freddie, that listens to the music, they're the people that are keeping him alive. You know, it sort of upsets me sometimes when They say, oh, but you're so good, you're wonderful, you're keeping Freddie alive for us. No, I'm not. It's everybody else who is keeping him alive. I'm just here to answer some questions, to make things a little bit easier for people. That they have to realize that he is around for them. I don't believe in spirits doing this, something else, whatever. The way I look at things is that until it is proved that something doesn't happen, then I'm prepared to believe it can. That's why I suppose I'm the glass half full person rather than the glass half empty. So the day people stop listening to the music, the day people stop talking about him, then he'll be gone.
But isn't that interesting? I mean, here is a little something from a fan who sent me from Portugal, and it shows Freddie Mercury on it. It's Queen. Now, speaking music history, the version without Freddie Mercury exists longer. Yes. With Brian May and Roger Taylor as the original members, but with other singers than the version with Freddie Mercury. If you go in social media and you look at all the Queen and Freddie Mercury groups, most of them are Queen groups that say, but we are the Queen ones with Freddie Mercury, and the Adam Lambert, we don't want to talk about him or about both things. So what is the fascination? I'm sometimes asking myself, I mean, I know the answer, that Freddie is still much more popular than my dear friends Brian May and Roger Taylor, who are original Queen members who are still on stage and making great music.
Freddie wrote good music. Freddie wrote music that people loved. Queen, as now, actually keep that legacy going because they play so many of his songs in the shows. But really it is, and because Freddie was such an amazing frontman, he was this showman. His job when he went onto the stage was to take every single person in that audience to make sure they were looking at him. And the thing is, he had this ability to be able to make everybody in an audience, even if it was a massive stadium, each person could feel that he was performing just for them.
Absolutely.
And that is what makes people talk about him.
And what makes a great performer.
Yes, of course.
And
because Brian says in an
legend.
interview that Freddie's job was to get the attention of the crowd.
So that he can play guitar solo.
Yes. So that they can all sit and bathe in the guitar.
That Brian can play a guitar solo.
Yeah.
I love his guitar
but
solos.
you know,
he's one of the best guitarists in the world.
The thing that, there's maybe one thing that does disappoint me a little. But going with what you were saying, the 20 years with Freddie created so much amazing music. Created. But the 30 years since, there has been so little. And I'm sure there is still so much music inside them. I know the whole atmosphere, the music industry is different. Everything is very different.
Let me. It's a very good point. But since I was also privileged to film, for example, when they were writing music together,
even in One Vision, the very first one.
Exactly. Maybe this missing link is missing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, because everybody always thinks, oh, Freddie Mercury, the diva, and he was no. He was the mother. He was the mother who brought people together. When the other three were fighting, he said, okay, darlings, now, let's find the peace. It was completely different than you would think. But he was obviously always also, when Brian had an idea or Roger, he was trying to understand what he wanted to say and helped him develop his ideas. I mean, Roger Taylor, whom I, as you know, was very good friends, and for 10 years we were the party kings together. With you know, I mean, thank God nothing of that is documented because I'm not.
It's a shame there weren't mobile phones in those days.
I'm happy. And there will never be a book about it, I promise. Yeah. No, but he once said, Radio Gaga, for example, you know, he went out and then Freddie did something to this song, which made it the Radio Gaga we know. But he said, oh, no, it's your song. I don't want the credit. Yeah, no, that was Freddie Mercury.
I remember the very first time we were in Los Angeles. Yeah. And we were in this sort of porter cabin, sort of dressing room type thing. And Freddie and I were sitting in there, and Roger came in with his little cassette player.
At the time. So, darlings, I have to explain. Cassettes are things. No, it was, I know you don't even know what DVD was or CD. That was before streaming and download. And then there was even VHS and what have you. And cassettes were things like that. And there were little tapes in there. How do you explain tape? Well, by your shoelaces where there was music on.
Something like that. But the thing is, and it was always, almost your favourite tape always got chewed up.
But tell the story. I was interrupting. I'm sorry.
No, he came in and he played this piece of music. He said, I wrote this last night. I put this together last night. And Freddie listened and, yeah, I can hear something there. I think there's going to be something there. And that was it. And then that's when, as you said, Roger went off and Freddie took this tape and was listening to it. For me, it sounded like something from an opera. I mean, it sounded very classical. And then Freddie came up with this, you know, that whole
drive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The thing is, you also have to remember with Queen, one band member would come in with an idea, but that person knew exactly what the others were going to be able to contribute. So if John came in with a song, he knew that Freddie's voice was going to be doing this, and Brian would create the harmonies on this, and Roger's drums, you know, are just going to be perfect. You know, so it took the pressure off of each of them.
And they're the only band ever, and I was working with a lot of them, who really were, to the maximum extent, democratic.
Yes. Well,
the four of them were all four writers. Yes. You know, it was not the drummer. Well, he wrote Radio Gaga. He was not the bass player. Well, he wrote Another One Bites the Dust. They all wrote world hits. Yes. Yeah. But they were also, in the end, democratic. Freddie was never dominating them.
No, this is what Freddie absolutely hated when he read in the press, Freddie Mercury and his band Queen. Because as far as Freddie was concerned, he was 25% of Queen. And that's it. He was the front man. He was the lead singer. But it was not his band.
In fact, Brian May founded the band. I mean,
yes. Yeah, because it was Roger and Brian who were Smile.
Exactly.
And Freddie joined Smile.
Yeah, and then it became
Queen.
Queen.
Freddie took over.
And, of course, gave the band the name Queen.
Came up with Queen, yeah. And then John Deacon joined, and that was it. It just worked.
I mean, isn't it funny that so many, or interesting that so many years after he passed, all those memories in you and also in myself are still so vivid? I mean, there is...
Yeah, but look who created them.
Right.
It's a tribute to him.
Sure.
As much as my memory, your memory. Without him, there would be nothing to talk about.
Wow, but I know what you mean, yes.
You know?
I mean, what is also interesting, and maybe because I was mentioning this fan, there is 16 million organized Queen fans around the world. You are somebody like a hero for them, because you go around, for many years. You do your own show, which is called a talk show, where you are putting photographs on it with Milan Satnik, your Czech collaborator and partner. And based on a photograph, you will tell stories, which I visited you, and it's very interesting. And whenever he's around, go and watch it. It's really worth it. And you also wrote a book. You wrote a book about your life with Freddie, but this book I wanted to show. Because it is something special and it's very helpful. Because it's Peter Freestone presents Freddie Mercurys Royal Recipes, which is more than 100 recipes of what Freddie liked to eat and what you cooked for him. Easy for everybody to cook at home. So you can be Freddie Mercury for an evening, at least as far as his food goes.
Yeah. But the thing is, this is the thing, when Freddie, he always said, if you wanted, deluxe gourmet food, there's restaurants that will do that. At home, he wanted home cooking. He wanted the food his mother cooked, which was almost impossible to copy because he couldn't tell us what was in it.
We have to say that he's born in Zanzibar, and his mother, and then he was in school in India, so that is the background of the food.
His parents came from Gujarat. No, from India.
From India, that's what I said.
From northwest.
But when India and Britain were...
it was
British.
Still,
anyway. So.
But then they moved to Zanzibar. But obviously took their culinary tastes.
No, but I interrupted you. Sorry for that.
But he would just say, "Oh well, I remember there was this in it, and there was something else, and it had potato with it, and so we just had to try and recreate."
And that's in the book.
And quite a few things.
Yeah, I mean, we are also working on a project together. Well, we're working on one project together, which is a secret. But another one, which I can at least tease a little bit, which will be about the years of Freddie Mercury in Munich, because it's the period that is not documented well. And you promised me to go into one of his favorite restaurants, which is probably closed, but still at the moment, and cook there something out of your cookbook. So we have it in the movie. I mean, you are a very good cook, although
I will agree. I cook, yes.
The chef was Giovanelli.
Yeah, and because you train to be a chef.
And the thing is, we have to mention that you were living in this great house, Garden Lodge in Kensington. There was, of course, Freddie and his lover, Jim Hutton. He always introduced him as, "This is my husband, Jim Hutton," Jim, when there was no gay marriage possible at the time. And Giovanelli and yourself, which was sort of the Garden Lodge community.
Yes.
And unfortunately, Jim is not with us anymore, and Giovanelli, soon after Freddie went, both HIV/AIDS related. And I want to mention something.
Oh no, Jim was lung cancer.
But he was positive.
He was HIV positive.
But
this is going back to his smoking years.
Sorry. Then I mean, I just knew that he was positive, but
it never went over into AIDS.
Exactly. So. Yeah. It's good that you correct me. Not everything that I say is true.
Red chair.
Oh my God. But I didn't do it on purpose, darling. You want to take over? Right. Well, okay. The next time you're sitting in my chair.
Fine.
Okay, fine. Yeah.
No problem.
Yeah, I'm so boring anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't even know what. Yeah.
You've had your time.
Okay. Good. Okay. No, but what I wanted to say. Well, we can stay on the funny path, but I wanted to be. Honestly, is that you are doing something very, very useful in schools. And in various organizations, you are going and you are creating awareness for AIDS and for HIV. And especially in a time where coronavirus is giving us so much sad moments, deaths, whatever, it's important to stress out that there's people like you who have not forgotten that there was a virus many, many years ago. There is still a virus. Please talk about your initiative and why you're doing this.
Okay.
It is called?
It's called the TFA project.
And TFA means?
Titanic Freddie AIDS.
Okay. Why is the name?
You've already mentioned Milan Shatnik.
Yes.
He came to me, I don't know, about 8-9 years ago. And he asked me if it would be possible to create some sort of a program for schools. Because in because in all the years that he was at school, not once did he hear anything about HIV/AIDS. Then the thing is, okay, back in the 90s, 80s, 90s, every celebrity was talking about it. Everybody knew about it. It was everywhere. But since the cocktail has been created that keeps people alive,
which gives people the chance to make a living and to live, but it's not curing.
No, because the thing is, you have to take these drugs every single day for the rest of your life. But since that has happened, AIDS it's not as important anymore. But this is why he came up with this title to compare the ship, the unsinkable, incredibly luxurious, indestructible ship that was destroyed by something small, with Freddie Mercury, the giant of performers, the indestructible performer, who was destroyed by something that you cannot see with your eye. And so what we do, it's an hour program. We go to schools, and there's a short video to start to show the Titanic Freddie. I then take them through the last 4 years of Freddie's life, of how the virus affected him. And there's no holding back, there's no glossing over anything, but talking about the cancer, the Kaposi's sarcoma, how he was losing his sight, all the things that happened right through to him dying. Then we have another video, the end, showing part of your,
work? Or
yes, the days of our lives.
Sure.
To compare the Freddie at Live Aid and the Freddie.
Oh my God, yeah.
And then it's basically open for questions. And we're talking to 13 years old upwards, because those are the people who really need to know.
Absolutely. How many people have you reached?
So far, it's just over 16,000.
16,000 people you were talking to, and they were listening to you, which is amazing, and I congratulate you.
But you see, what we do, we do deals. If people want me to go talking somewhere, or Milan singing whatever somewhere, the deal is, yes, we'll go, provided they organise some of these in schools.
Good.
So we can get to...
So you're combining it, you say, if you want to have the Queen stories, let me educate people in the same city. Yeah. Good. Well, very, very, please keep on doing it. I mean, it is a secret what we're doing, but it's not a secret that we will work
No, of course we will.
in a close way.
We know each other too well not to.
There's also a project concerning your biography, which I'm not going to say more. Let me tell you that I thank you very, very much for being Peter Freestone, and for, in all the years and I might not have said this to you, it just comes into my mind now. When I had the privilege to work with Freddie, you were always kind, although there was very often very stressful situations which not you or me or anybody in specific was anybody's fault. I do not remember you that you crossed the line of being a gentleman, a very nice, caring person. And I really love you dearly, as much as a heterosexual man like me can love another man. And I hope that we were bringing a few interesting aspects of Freddie's life. Is there anything at the end that you want to tell people about Freddie that is like the last word?
No, but what I would like to say with what you've just said about me, how I behaved, what I did and what I didn't do. For me, I was there to represent Freddie. I was just an extension of Freddie. So I was just being how I thought of him. Because, okay, of course there were times he would shout, but I also know he wasn't shouting at me. He was shouting because he had to get it out of his system. But he felt, and he knew he could shout at me because I wouldn't take it personally. Freddie, we've said it already, there will never be another Freddie. Not, for me, not as a performer, as a creator, or as a friend.
That's a very good final word. Peter, I thank you very much.
Thank
Meine
you.
Damen und Herren, ich hoffe, es war interessant für Sie. Es war eine andere Ohne Maulkorb mit Dollezahl-Sendung. Die deutschen Untertitel haben Ihnen geholfen, wenn man nicht so toll war im Englisch. Ich sage vielen, vielen Dank. Sie wissen, Sie können mir wie immer folgen auf meinen sozialen Plattformen, sozialen Medien. Und ich sage am Schluss, und das ist etwas, this is something that Freddie always also would like, ich sage wie immer am Schluss, love and respect.
You wanna know what goes on backstage? Oh, come on. Let me take you by the hand. Ow!
Rudi, are you ready?
Ladies and gentlemen,
The way I see it, Barry, this should be a very dynamite show.
You know, I have no idea what the name of this program is, but you're watching it.
All you ever want,
Backstage,
all you ever need.
backstage,
Your dreams will be fulfilled once you are there, you'll never wanna leave. You wanna sell your ass for that backstage pass. Backstage is just for the invited.